you're a professional, just like my friend Judy here. You've had, like, built a life for yourself. You're middle class. Upper middle class, okay, but she really scratched her way out of the refugee camp and built herself an upper middle class life and is doing really well. But she, like you, I think she grew up with really, really hard circumstances. Not like, well, maybe more than you've experienced. And she watched how on the Israeli side, they had a government that had their back and defended them and built them shelters and really, really sought to protect them at all costs. And her government failed her, right? And she sees in Gaza, it's even worse. Not only did they fail them, failed to build some basic level cheap ass shelters underground so that their kids wouldn't die. Okay,
at these horrific bombs. You try to think of
it's 100% Israel's fault for dropping these bombs, but it still is. The government, Hamas as the government, had an obligation to protect their citizens.
Hamas has no responsibility when it comes down to the population in Gaza, the civilian population. It's not
actually it's Israel's responsibility by international.
This is the responsibility of the United Nations and the occupier, which is Israel. Hamas has nothing to do with this. Hamas has demanded elections. Elections haven't taken place, 2021, and it was Israel.
They're the government. They're supposed to take care of the people.
They are. There hasn't been elections. They're just the only. They're the gogoverning body.
It's the occupier's responsibility. Not the occupier.
Mikhail and Edward. This woman's accent does not sound Palestinian at all. Just picture in Arabic and you'll...
No, check out Arabic. Yeah, she can. Her Arabic is Palestinian Arabic. But
no, that's fine. There are people who think this way. Like, it's not really worth it. We're just let's live our lives. Like, I understand that mentality. The thing is, if we don't do something now, there is no lives in the future. Like, there is no generations in the future. Like, we need to take care of this now.
We know Israel's plan
isn't going to work for us. Like,
Israel's plan is to destroy. I mean, a slow genocide that was actually slowly building up to more than just a slow genocide. And by 2010 to 2023, and like in 2023, I think, 200 Palestinians in the West Bank were killed.
So people want to keep focusing on the KIA number. There is a weird number that's worse.
Okay, listen, that's not my reason for bringing it up. I'm saying that the data shows that that Israel was escalating before October 7th. They were escalating. They were not de-escalating. So eventually we would have gotten to a point of where we are today. We would have gotten there. That's what the numbers show. That we were being restricted.
They were doing this cycle. Or this is clearly a planned cycle where you instigate violence. You expect shit to light up in the West Bank, then you're forcing Hamas to get involved, and then after Hamas gets involved, because there is a lot of populist pressure on Hamas that since you're like this armed resistance that you should get involved in defending Palestinians, and then Hamas and the resistance gets involved. Then there's a campaign on Gaza, which ends up killing 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, sometimes even more, and that's what keeps happening. And this cycle is repetitive, and this has been going since Hamas took over Gaza.
You know calculus, Mikhail. The rate of change from 2010 and upwards was getting higher. So it wasn't like a cycle like a sine wave. It was climbing upwards. So they kept creeping it upwards so that it would be more acceptable. Like slow boiling frog that boils himself,
But they did it specifically settlement expansion, arming settlers, and settlers instigating violence, Palestinians retaliating, military shows up, kills Palestinians, protests, force evictions out of homes in East Jerusalem and parts of the West Bank. Eventually, this culminates in deaths of at least a few dozen. And then, hey, resistance, Well, start whistling at the resistance.
Yeah, but it was getting more than a
Do
few
something.
dozen. It was getting more and more and more. I'm saying, like, it wasn't.
And
It was
how many
rising.
wars have we seen prior to October 7th? Cycles, and where Israel starts.
Yes, that is a cycle. But between those cycles, the violence was getting worse.
Because the plan is to continue these cycles.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, so the plan is to escalate and escalate slowly so that the world doesn't notice until you get to a point where it becomes normal. It's normalized. Hundreds of Palestinians a day are dying in the West Bank. It is normalized, and I'm sure they had a number, and that they had figured out, if we start killing X amount, on a weekly basis, in 10 years there will be no more left. 15 years there'll be no more left. I mean, that's the only conclusion I could draw. If violence is escalating and Palestinians were de-escalating in the 2010s.
Yeah, it's called mowing the lawn or cutting the grass.
Yeah, that's in Gaza. That's in Gaza. I mean, they go in every 2 years into Gaza. But between those periods, the violence in the West Bank was going up, and then it would go back down, but not down to where it was before. It would just go down a little bit. Then it would go up again, and then go back down, but not where it was before. So it was always stepping up. Always. And Hamas saw that. Hamas understood. And they knew where it was going.
We were cooked in Gaza, man. Like I said, people don't understand what was going on in Gaza prior to October 7th, and that's the issue. Like, y'all don't look up shit. You don't know unemployment. You don't know these figures. We got a lot of youth. We got a lot of kids. These kids need shit. They need a future. They need hope. If they got no hope, if they go to university and the best they can get a degree that might even guarantee them a chance is an engineering degree, and the only way to guarantee a job is a medical degree, you need to become a doctor pretty much, then we're all fucked. Everybody and all the youth is fucked. And that is the case. That is the truth of it all.
Oh, yeah. Where are you going to get your food? Where are you going to get your water?
Yeah. All my friends who are pretty much unemployed. Unless they come from families of merchants.
It's the highest. I believe it was was the highest unemployment rate per capita in the world, if I'm not mistaken. It could be second or third, but I thought it was number one. I could be mistaken. And the thing is, infrastructure, clean water. I mean, access to opportunities.
We don't have.
What are you going to do?
That's another.
Yeah. What are you going to do? Just sit there and die? And the Israelis are still coming. But you know the Israelis, because the mowing the lawn. They said this out loud. You know the Israelis are going to come every few years. You know this. I mean, everybody knows this. They said it. They've been doing it for, 12 years? Every couple of years into Gaza?
Gaza's always been fucked up, man. Like, why are people acting like Gaza was ever a good place? Gaza, since the second Intifada, before, from the very beginning, it's just a trash can. It's literally a trash can of refugees who surround the main city of Gaza, which is Gaza City. When everybody looks in the cameras and they see footage, what you're seeing is Gaza City, which is about to be, which Israel wants to, even though it's been heavily bombarded, they want to destroy everything in Gaza. What the fuck is wrong with you? You want to destroy all the infrastructure in Gaza City?
And then you're going to ask yourself why.
I want to talk about mowing the lawn for a second.
Why are you going to destroy all the infrastructure in Gaza City?
What about mowing the lawn?
It's a grim description. It's horrific. I protested the 2014 war. It's unjustified, but I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I know. Every couple of years they do mowing the lawn, whatever. Why do you think? How do they justify it? How do you think the Israelis justify mowing the lawn?
You look up.
No, but do you know how they justified it at the time?
Yes,
Why did they go in there?
Yes. Why? I'll tell you exactly. You could look this up. I think
because of the rockets, right?
No. What they do?
Well, they went in and took out rocket launchers.
No. You asked the question. I'll answer it for you. So whenever Israel wants to go in, what they do, the rockets stop. It's quiet. They start what they call targeted assassinations, sending in Apache helicopters, dumping missiles on buildings, sometimes bombs, killing a bunch of people until Hamas reacts, shoots rockets, and then Israel says, "Oh, they're shooting rockets at us. Now we got to go in." Now, don't take my word for it. Go to GPT and ask. Who started?
For arrows of David, time every fucking operation. Give me.
There was only one. There was only one that people say, okay, Hamas and Israel may have started it. You know, they may have both been responsible. May have. Out of all the times that Israel went into Gaza. Oh, which one?
Cast Lead, right? 2014, they were shooting rockets, and then they came in and mowed.
I don't know. Ask GPT; it will tell you. How many? Which ones did? Who was responsible for them?
There's always a reason for the rockets.
Exactly.
Fired.
Targeted assassinations. That's what they called them.
There's always some underlying reason, and Israel does this on purpose.
They had people protesting. What was it called? Yeah. What were they doing? They were sniping people marching in Gaza.
These are sadistic fucks. We get it. We've been through this since the Second Intifada. We've seen people forget the early Second Intifada. Kids were being killed. Protesters being killed. That's what happened. No one cares. That's the thing. We understand the world doesn't care. And at the end of the day, we know this is the only way to get the world to move, because this is the only thing that has worked for us. Peace doesn't work because we know Israel's not interested in peace. It's not that they can ever entertain peace in the sense that creating a Palestinian state. They can't. Why? Because it's an existential threat. And until you guys understand that a Palestinian state and the Palestinian demographic is an existential threat to the Jewish state, you really don't understand why things are going the way they are. You think just people are just like evil and they don't have any calculations. Like, no, this isn't a movie. This isn't a comic. Israel has Zionism has a clear agenda. And this agenda requires certain things on the ground, and that's demographics.
So this will continue. Like the approval, the support for a Palestinian state, this sort of desperate move by all these countries, because nothing they can do will stop the genocide in Gaza, right? Like, they're desperate, they're at their wits' end, so they know it's symbolic, they know it's not doing anything, but they're willing to give credibility and legitimacy to the Palestinian state, at least on paper, and that you see as a victory. So what was necessary for them to get to that point is a literal Holocaust. What I see is a literal Holocaust. My pro-Israel friends will disagree with me. And you think that that's justified. It's a necessary evil because it's a means to an end. The means justify the end.
What am I gonna do?
And the end justifies the means.
Well, how was Israel created? Literally out of a Holocaust.
No, and we would invoke a Holocaust on purpose to get an outcome, a certain outcome. That's horrific. 2/3 of them are dead.
So, right. So, I mean...
You're willing to sacrifice 2/3 of your population for this end?
2/3? Where's my 2/3?
I'm just saying the Holocaust ended up with 2/3 of European Jewry dead. Is that what you're willing to... That's the toll you're willing to take on?
I don't care about that.
We are willing to go as far as to make sure that because we know, and you're not convinced of this, but we know that Israel's ultimate plan is the extinction of the Palestinian people, or the removal by force of the Palestinian people, which will come with, probably 2/3 of the Palestinians being killed if you remove them out of the West Bank and Gaza. So we know that that's the ultimate plan. We know this. Okay, you're not convinced of this. But because we know this, you're asking us a question of, well, how much are you willing to take?
I don't
How
think
many
it's
of you people
I think
are
you're
you
right
willing to
that
die?
Israel failed. It walked right into the trap. It doesn't serve Israel's long-term interests to commit a genocide. It doesn't serve their interests. They've done it anyway.
No, it does serve their interests.
So that's the thing. What
do you mean? Their goal was normalization. Their goal was to have legitimacy and a permanent state. Committing genocide has harmed that. in every level. That's why. That's where Hamas has won.
That's because they lost control of the media. They had control of the old media. I mean, there was a slide deck and a report that came out last year where they met, the Zionists met and said, well, how did we lose control of the how are we losing control of the narrative here? And they didn't understand, that Hamas was fighting a war not on the ground. They were fighting it, with global, in cyberspace with people. They wanted everyone to know what the Palestinians are going through, have gone through, are going to go through. They want to know what Israel is capable of, so they know how horrific the occupation is.
So the only way to show how horrific the occupation is to provoke an actual genocide.
When you control the media.
So they intentionally provoked an actual genocide to show people. When the Zionists control the media, what else do you do? So they intentionally provoked a genocide and had their children slaughtered.
No. Wait, hold on. No, they did not intentionally provoke anything.
You said that's the plan. That's the strategy. The ends justify the means.
You set up the scenario. You have contingencies. You have protocols. You know this is what a war. This is the highest it could reach. This is the lowest it could reach. This is the optimal it could reach. You never you can never truly grasp or
no plan survives contact with the enemy
or an operation. You never do. You know there's going to be major destruction. But did people think that, oh, this is the level of destruction that's going to happen? I don't think so. I don't think anybody in the world thought oh, Israel can get away with this kind of destruction. But here we are.
Including Hamas. Hamas didn't do that.
Hamas, I mean, we have Sinwar.
So Hamas miscalculated then, right?
Sinwar, no, I don't know. We don't know.
Did Sinwar miscalculate?
We don't know because...
No, we don't know. We don't know if Israel has planned...
Can I finish, man? Okay, we have a video of Sinwar literally out there, and he's saying, this is going to be what we have in plan is going to be something that is going to burn everything. It is going to burn it's going to change the whole region. Everything is going to be a war that doesn't stop. So this is what Sinwar said. I don't know if he knew this is the level of it. I don't know. It mostly is. They saw that there was going to be major destruction and there's going to be a war. And something that is unprecedented.
Buttercup,
so why gamble with your people's lives that way if you don't know how it's going to end? A war that never stops with no end goal?
Do you know how many Algerians died fighting the French for their independence?
How many times do we have to do this?
Does anybody know how many Algerians had to die?
Yes,
around 1 million, 3 million. Figures.
So would you have told, if you were alive in the 60s, would you have been telling them, stop, why are you guys dying? Is it worth it?
Exactly. I mean, the ends justify the means. You look at wars by the conclusion, by the objectives. Did we actually achieve anything? Did we not achieve anything? Did we actually setback? Is it a setback or is it?
It's not a fair question to ask, look, is it worth having all this destruction? It's not a fair question because that would mean that we would have to know the future and know exactly what Israel was going to do. That's not an ability that human beings have. It's not an ability that Palestinians have.
Hamas has some obligation to the people it serves, though, to actually calculate it out and do the math before they do something like this.
Okay, it's not. We're not psychics. We're human beings.
What we saw.
The question is whether or not it served the cause, whether we're successful.
We have historical data.
Global stage that decided the timing of October 7th. So this is what it was. There are reasons why October 7th happened, the timing that it happened. We have Netanyahu in the UN saying no Palestinian state. We have the normalization with Saudi Arabia that involved a nuclear program in return to recognizing the state of Israel, which at the time was talked about as if it was serious. And so there are things that we as Palestinians to ensure the cause remains progressive or at least present, something had to happen. Otherwise we were just being sidelined or under the rug, kind of hidden under the rug. So we can't continue this. We need there to be a global attention on the cause. We need these Arab countries to not, to actually consider that things on the ground are not good. And they're not working for us. And to sit there and normalize with Israel isn't going to work. And we might have let these, countries that no one really cares about, normalize, but even though we're against it. But Saudi Arabia is a whole different game. That's never going to happen.
Have you stopped it though? I don't know that this has done anything.
Absolutely stopped.
They said their red line is annexation, so you've prevented annexation.
No. They said if there isn't an agreement for a Palestinian state, they're not moving ahead with the.
Yeah, but that's super vague and eventually.
It's not vague. It's pretty clear. Not moving forward unless there's an agreement for Palestine.
Actually, Saudi Arabia is one of the. I know people don't like this, but Saudi Arabia is one of the main countries who have pushed a lot of these G7 countries into recognizing.
Yeah, they're the ones working on this.
People don't know this, but yeah, there's a lot of things.
They're co-chairing.
Saudi Arabia is actively doing.
Yeah, and they're co-chairing the UN session on this.
From the perspective of Hamas, if you say like Hamas manipulated, I don't think so because Hamas is still fighting. Hamas seems to have clearly an infrastructure that's ready to go, and they are ready to keep going for at least another year. I don't know. At this point, it's just extremely impressive that Hamas is able to continue this far in.
Okay, I mean, I guess so you're kind of so whether or not it's successful remains to be seen. You're not conclusive about it yet.
We've had successes.
But has it advanced long term? We don't know yet whether it advances the cause or hurts it.
All you have to do is ask yourself, what are the military objectives? What are the mission goals of Hamas, the ones who instigated October 7th, versus what are the mission goals of Israel by going into this war? That's what you need to ask yourself, and then you need to see which one is closer to being achieved.
I think they're both losing. They're both lost on many fronts.
What is the mission? What is the goal of Israel?
That's a good question. What is it?
I don't know. It's good.
You don't know? I mean, you haven't heard. You haven't heard the
mission of this war in particular, or in general, their long-term mission. Their long-term objective.
Just this war. What have they said?
This war, they failed on many levels. Yeah.
No. What was their objective?
They free their hostages and.
No. What did they say? What did they say?
They said they wanted to beat Hamas and free the hostages. Remove Hamas, free the hostages, prevent October 7th. That's what their stated goals were.
They didn't make any. They didn't make any. Okay. Did they make any genocidal statements?
Yeah, of course. No, I think there's a really good case for genocide in the.
Okay, so what was there? So what? So if there's a case, if you're saying that there's a case for genocide,
I think their genocidal statements wouldn't have had. They wouldn't have had the political. There was no people weren't talking openly about ethnic cleansing until after October 7th. This wasn't a mainstream view to remove all the Gazans from the Gaza Strip.
You think ethnic cleansing and genocide just happened? People just woke up and said, you know what,
It wasn't the policy to ethnically cleanse and genocide before October 7th.
But they were doing this beforehand.
There was what? Because they targeted individual people who had
they killed thousands of people every couple of years in Gaza.
But you're talking about the mowing the lawn? What are you talking about?
Yes,
specifically?
yes,
okay.
Yes.
And the mowing the lawn, as we discussed, they claim was in return for the rockets, which you say was in return for targeted killings, which they say are just targeting people who committed terrorism acts, right? So
don't believe me.
This is the cycle.
No, don't believe me.
I remember. I've been following this as long as you have. Okay.
No. It's not about following it on the news or anything. Go to GPT and ask.
You're not following shit. You live in a bubble. Like what happens to the Palestinians? You're not really following it. Don't sit there and say, well, because I was in the region, that somehow I have. We're on the same level. No, you're not on the same level.
You just have to ask GPT.
We're all Americans here. Let's be real, okay? We all have connections on both sides of this conflict, right? And we all have, connections.
Who says we have connections on both sides of the conflict? What are you talking about?
Okay, well, I do, and I don't know. Maybe you guys don't, but I do.
So,
and so that's where I come from.
Well, I do.
Fucking.
Okay.
Nobody.
I oppose the genocide. Okay, I made that clear.
You oppose genocide. You oppose Zionism. I'm not sure. I mean,
I've opposed Zionism I've over and over again said the state needs to be dismantled and needs to be rebuilt in a new form, which you would disagree with, Mikhail, but I think it needs to be one that gives.
Issue. Like I already told you, the state of Israel, as long as it changes, there's no problem being part of the state of Israel. We don't have what, you think we have an issue against the name?
I don't even care what it's named. Israel-Palestine for all I care. I don't care what the name is. I just care that it's a state that everyone has equal rights under the law. That's all.
Then we both agree. That's just what we want. We want a binational state and where people's rights are guaranteed and they're compensated for the shit that
if that makes me a Zionist, that makes you a Zionist, Mikhail.
No, that doesn't make you a Zionist, nor does it make me a Zionist. But do you understand that this kind of state means eventually an Arab demographic is going to overcome?
Yeah, I'm not hung up on the demographic majority. I think of it as a democracy. I don't think that the Arab majority is inherently a threat to the.
Okay, so when we're 60% in this democracy and we decide everything, you're okay with that?
So if you have a strong enough constitution and it's a secular democracy, and you have strong enough protections against an ethno, this extremely undemocratic system that you have now, or having one sort of slide into theocracy like that, then if you have strong enough protections and a strong enough constitution, I think you can protect against some of the problems people for.
No, when I'm the majority of the population, I control the military, I control the government, I control the Knesset.
Yeah, but everyone has a vote.
Yeah, you might have rights, but at the end of the day, the ones who actually, the decision making in this state involves it.
But if you have protections, freedom. If you have protections, basic civil liberties, and Western or liberal secular values, then there's inherent protections for minority populations too.
The West that invested in this freaking ground aircraft carrier that is Israel.
Yeah.
You think they're gonna be like, yeah, let there be a democracy. We invested all this weaponry and all this tech, and so just so the Arabs can have it at the end of the day. Yeah.
I don't think the Arabs have it any more than white people have America, right? Just because they're in the majority doesn't mean they have it. It means we have a democracy that inherently protects minorities, right? That's what the point of it. A secular democracy should protect everyone, and everyone should have a vote, and everyone should be able to run for office, and there should be coalitions, and there should be a robust debate.
You think if the demographics flipped, which they're about to flip, the 2070 Latinos are going to be the majority in this country. Do you think Latinos are going to vote for these foreign policies that the United States is instigating these days? do you think this?
A lot of certain things, there are checks and balances, right? In a robust democracy like the U.S., which is much older than Israel, which and some of those protections we've found are more fragile than we thought they were with the current Trump administration. They have eroded some of them and flipped a lot of
domestic policy. We can always guarantee equal rights to citizens in a democracy domestically, but a state isn't just their domestic policy; it's also their foreign policy.
Their foreign policy. So how does that affect the people who live there?
Foreign policy.
Yeah, but if people's rights are protected, right, to vote, to live, to have access to resources, who really the foreign policy?
Okay, then
foreign policy is never moral, right?
We're not in a disagreement. All I'm telling you, it makes sense that over time, most likely, the Arab demographic is going to take over, and
what foreign policy would they implement that the Israelis would object to, the Jews would object to, for example?
I believe just simply becoming a minority is something that the Jews usually.
That's domestic policy, not foreign, though.
Foreign policy. I'm talking about the people behind or the nations behind Israel itself. But foreign policy wise, opening up the region, allowing North Africa to connect to the West Asia in that sense, which all of this has to go through Palestine. So just simply opening up for that global trade or that regional trade, and then also cooperation.
Wait, Mikhail, I don't know if we do agree on this state, because I don't think you believe in a secular democracy. I thought you wanted a caliphate, end of time.
He'll take one. He'll take one.
No, I thought you wanted some sort of like
There are-
messianic
listen,
end of
just like
times
Zionists,
scenario.
just like some Jews. Some Jews.
Oh, so
will
you're
go-
you're aligned with the Kahanists in that you want an end of times.
Listen,
No,
I
he
support the Kahanists over the secular.
The
Zionists.
Islamic version of the Kahanists, basically.
Yeah, the problem with the Kahanists is they have a lot of them have become Zionist, in that sense. So
No, they are
You're
Zionists.
saying, yeah. See, that doesn't you don't necessarily need to be. So they see it as a stepping stone. That's how they see it. They don't see Zionism just means to an end. Once they use Zionism, which is pretty much to get rid of. For some reason, they've made it make sense in their head that our goals align with the Zion. Let's get rid of the Palestinians first. Let's get rid of they've put themselves in a position of animosity towards Arabs and Muslims, and let's take care of this first, and then we'll accomplish what we want to accomplish.
Michael,
So
do you want a
that's how the
secular
Kahanists-
state that protects its minorities, its minority, let's say Jewish population? Do you want a state like that, or do you want an
I don't mind
apocalyptic?
that state because it eventually serves my goals.
And what are those goals?
I just want to see a greater Arab world. I want to see a united Arab world, and then via the united Arab world, I want to see a rise of the Islamic world.
But how does that how does that work if you have strong democratic secular
That's fine.
foundation?
We all there's no problem.
There's no contradiction between establishing a caliphate and having.
Islam doesn't impose on minorities, but I mean, if you're talking under a democracy, yeah, we impose the law on everybody. But in a theocracy or a caliphate, we don't impose Sharia on non-Muslims. Jews can rule in accordance to, but we're getting ahead of it.
To me, it seems inherently in conflict. I don't know.
Not really.
Maybe I don't. I want to understand. I'm
No,
curious. I don't know much about it.
Islam does have a governmental system, that's inherent in our religion.
Think of the
unlike
United
the
Nations,
other religions.
the EU. Think of EU, like we could be something like that. Just the Muslim world, like a union, doesn't need to be like an empire.
Okay, interesting.
It's just naturally what we are supposed to be. The reason we're not this already is because of the West and mainly and Israel. That's the reason we're not united. So we need that unity.
And make sure you ask GPT about the mowing the lawn. Who started it?
GPT will tell
started
me
it?
who started. Let me ask them. I'm
Yes,
curious.
But the only one preventing a vision where I could be right now in Istanbul or Izmir, and then by for breakfast, and then and by lunch I'll be in Damascus, and by evening I'll be in Bethlehem, and by
you think you're gonna be that
I'll
successful?
in Cairo. The one who's preventing this is Israel.
And you're all about Turkey, Istanbul.
Huh?
Nothing. You mentioned Istanbul.
No, I'm just
I was
saying,
you're all about
totally
Turkey.
have infrastructure that goes from all around the Eastern Mediterranean all the way to Morocco. This is very possible. Imagine this infrastructure existing. Imagine a few bullet trains going from Morocco all the way to Istanbul. Like, this is what
I mean, they're building those trains now. I mean, and most of the countries already have them. Just they're connecting them.
Yeah, we need to. There is already infrastructure. No one's saying there isn't infrastructure.
Yes.
We need all this infrastructure to be connected.
Yeah, yeah.
And once this is all connected, we have the infrastructure for major trade in there.
Yeah.
All right, so I asked ChatGPT, I don't know if I framed it correctly, but I asked them, why does Israel mow the lawn in Gaza? And they said,
No, that's not the right question.
okay, well then I said, why does Palestinians do the rockets? They first blamed the rockets, and they said, well, the rocket fire from Gaza comes after the mix of...
Ask what sparks, who starts the wars, who has started the wars in Gaza, Israel or Hamas?
Before October 7.
Yeah.
Wars...
Before October 7th,
I already looked up the list of all the before October 7th on Gaza. Operation Rainbow,
Okay.
2004.
All right, here's the answer. That's a sharp question, and the answer depends a lot on how you define started. Before October 7, there were several major rounds of fighting between Israel and Gaza. Each had its own triggers. 2008 to 2009, Cass led. The trigger was escalating rocket fire from Hamas after Hamas seized control of Gaza in 2007. Trigger, the Palestinian view, is Israel's blockade of Gaza and targeted killings of Hamas members. Okay, that's actually matches what you said. 2012, Operation Pillar of Defense. The trigger, Israeli view, was constant rockets and assassination of Ahmed Jabari, the Hamas military chief. From the Palestinian view, it was Israel broke a ceasefire with that assassination prompting the rocket fire.
Yeah, so that, I don't know, it framed it weird. Yeah,
okay,
so that assassination of that person.
Protective Edge. Sorry, I thought Cass led it. Protective Edge in 2014. The trigger, Hamas's rocket fire after Israel cracked down on the West Bank following the kidnapping and murder of 3 Israeli teens, right? Trigger, according to the Palestinian view, is Israel's mass arrest, killing, and airstrikes before the rockets escalated. 2021, Guardian of the Walls, Hamas's rockets. Israeli view is Hamas rockets after unrest in Jerusalem, Sheikh Jarrah evictions, and Al-Aqsa clashes. The trigger, according to the Palestinians, is Israel's police stormed Al-Aqsa during Ramadan. Rockets were in defense of Jerusalem.
So
2022.
Oh, good.
In 2023, the smaller rounds usually sparked by Israel's killing of Islamic Jihad leaders, leading to a barrage of rockets and Israeli airstrikes. Okay.
So the 2021 is the one that is, people say it could have been both.
Right.
But the other ones you read, like the one that, I don't know why you put it, the assassination of the Ahmed, what was his name? 2014?
Jarrah, yeah.
Yeah. So his assassination, and which led to rockets, which led then to Israel coming in. So all of them except one, which is debated. But even if Hamas started that one, you still have, 8 others that Israel started?
Nothing that any of them started there. You're not going to find some casualties prior to the event. You're always going to find some Palestinians dead in the West Bank. You're always going to find
but it's like she just read. It's Israel targeting people in Gaza.
I know.
Targeting assassinations.
Okay,
and most people don't know this.
This actually, I know. The truth is, Edward, I do think that throughout my since my 20s, I started to learn more about this. I do realize I have a one-sided view of almost every conflict in Israel, and I've had to relearn. So this is actually something that I've always believed. It started with the rocket fire, and so to understand the Palestinian perspective, it actually is revealing, and I'm appreciative. So,
keep that conversation, go deeper in it, and just make sure, and really hone in on,
I believe you.
What it is. It's.
And I think you've been intellectual honest, and you've acknowledged that there was at least one case where it was debatable, right?
Yes. I mean, even like I said, if we say Hamas started that. We are humans.
We don't need to go and start charting down every single individual and going back in the line. We already know who's behind all of this violence.
But they don't know. She doesn't know. This is why it was important.
They don't know. That's their problem.
This absolutist language always stresses me out and makes me a little suspicious. It's 100%.
It's Zionism.
One side and not the other.
Oh, one side.
When you come and you have a Zionist project in a land that is predominantly Arab, overwhelmingly Arab, and the history, this is part of an Arab world, this has been part of an Islamic caliphate for 1,400 years, that there have been crusaders, that there have been Mongols, that there have been Romans and Persians and all that. You understand, if you go look into this history, how much people have sacrificed to liberate this piece of land.
And also to let Jews into Jerusalem.
Willy-nilly walking in there. I'm a Zionist idiot. I don't know shit about the history. I'm part of the white race of Europe, and I have the white man's burden, and I want to come and colonize this region in the name of civilization.
All right.
Okay, that was a very bad white man's accent, by the way.
That's white man's burden.
Fuck
you. Fuck your white man's burden, dude.
So, but also with the Muslims, Muslims brought Jews back into Jerusalem. So it wasn't like this
We are those
antagonistic.
Jews. We are those Jews.
I'm saying
a lot of those ancient Hebrews, they became us.
Okay, in the 7th century, we opened up
Judaism. We literally say
yes, and opened Jerusalem up to them when the Christians denied them. So when we took back that area, that was one of the things we did.
All right, I gotta jump off. It's always a pleasure, Edward, Mikhail. See you around.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye.
Yeah, not a Zionist.
I thought she would say she's a Zionist, but I'm a good
No, I told you she's not a Zionist.
Kind of triggered me about her. Like, it's just like, you clearly don't know what Zionism is.
But I know what Zionism is. I told you she's not a Zionist.
That's good. That's good. My bad.
Oh, it is good, but she... Huh? I want what?
You want a my bad? I could swear she said she was a Zionist.
No, I don't. No, but she's, like
Is that not a conversation? I'm telling her what you're calling for is anti-Zionism. Like, you're actually opposed to Zionism.
Yeah, and then she said, I'm not a Zionist. They're like, okay. I'm like, no, I understand how you were confused too, because I said she's not a Zionist, but then I said I don't agree with her positions. Her position isn't something I agree with. So I understand. I'm just giving you a hard time.
No, it's just ignorance. It's a lot of ignorance. That's all.
But, she's willing to learn.
If I got people like Igal and I got her who sit there and like acting like, and you don't know what David the offer is. You don't know.
He won't read for months.
You don't know Omar's offer. What the fuck are we talking about? Like,
I told him. I said, go back, and for months I would tell him, Igal, please go back and read it.
I still have to deal with. She's got me some Palestinian. It's like, finally America. Okay, great. Wait till that, runs on fumes. We'll see about that. Once America,
she's here.
The dopamine runs out.
She's here. You're here. I'm here. But yet, she has family. It sounded like that have died or have suffered and died. You do. I do. We move. We move, but the occupation follows us. It's with us. There is an agenda to kill, to genocide the Palestinians. There is an agenda, and it's obvious now. If there wasn't an agenda, then they wouldn't be doing it now.
It's as you could say, it's an agenda. It's a necessary strategy. That's how it is. It's not optional.
Call it an agenda. It just sounds better and sinister.
Oh, okay.
It really does.
Hey, bro, you're in a sea of Arabs. Like, what the fuck are you gonna do? You've got like 8 million, or Jews in a sea of 400 million, and you got like 7-8 million Palestinians to deal with. Like, you're not doing good. Like, Israel isn't doing good. This is just a stupid suicidal project for the sake of who? For the sake of the West.
Yes.
I
do want to have a conversation with her in terms of,
This is honestly a continuation of the previous plan, which is just, getting rid of Jews from Europe. That's really
yeah. And the fact that the U.S. wouldn't take them in.
At the time, Israel is like a kill box. Like, they don't see it yet, but it's literally a kill box. It's not going to be pretty when the shoe's on the other foot.
Is Israel weakened now more than it's ever been?
Yeah.
Then obviously we have made a lot of progress. We have made massive.
For Palestinians, I don't know, like, if we can get these the recognitions to kick in, and then we can get to a stage where we advocate for sanctions, which might take us a year.
Listen, if we will get the recognition is important because it makes other nations feel comfortable with going further, and they want to go further.
I don't
because
care
a
about
lot of
other
nations.
The reason I care
No, no.
about these G7 European
No,
nations,
okay.
because of sanctions. That's why I care. They're
The G7s, they're catalysts, though. The
no,
G7
they're
countries.
The primary. I need
No.
their sanctions. I need them.
Okay. What I'm saying to you is the G7s are catalysts in terms of they will make the other Western nations now feel it would be normalized to that Palestinians have rights, and these are rights that cannot be taken away from them, and that comes with it sanctions and highly and looking at Israel from a highly critical lens. So yes, I think there'll be sanctions from these G7 countries. They've already threatened. Okay, but the real prize is having them come out in order to make so that these other Western nations, when they want to sanction, when they want to recognize, when they want to divest, they don't have to worry about being called anti-Semitic. That's where the power lies. Is the power lies there because it was that bar. Because Israel spent so many years raising that bar so high, and now it's down. It's very far down, and it will snowball. And Palestinians, should Palestinians get a state? Going from that narrative, it will go to when Palestinians are going to get a state. Palestinians must have a state. More definite statements for us and actions.
Well,
and I'm waiting for that snowball effect.
Solution, man. Like, whether it's a 1-state, 2-state, whatever, we need a solution. That's what we need.
I'd rather have a 2-state, but I mean, I'm not going to.
I already told you. I'm more pessimistic than you are. I'm not optimistic. I don't believe there will be.
Listen, if we get a territory, it's enough for me. Territory.
No, it's not enough. It's not.
No, that would lead into a state. Trust me, that would lead into a state. Yes, it would.
No, it won't. This conflict will not stop unless Jerusalem. Anything else can be negotiated. Jerusalem is the only one that's not going to be negotiated over. We are not going to give Jerusalem to a bunch of goyim that literally most of them are inbred converts from around the world. We're not going to give this.
I don't think we have to worry about this because
we're not going to give it to them.
We don't have to worry about this. The rest of the Muslim world would side on this very heavily and would be involved in this very heavily because
I mean hopefully so, but
Jerusalem, yeah.
Any solution, even if it's something that's going to go into some extended future. Which also we got to make sure like settlement expansion ends with any at the very least. It's gonna have to involve Jerusalem. I'm sorry, it's just like it's not gonna stay under Israel. Jerusalem can't stay under Israel.
East Jerusalem.
Yeah, the old city. Yeah. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
All that shit they expanded around Jerusalem, and they want to call it Jerusalem. I am fucking keep that.
And maybe I would be fine with like a coalition. I mean, having Israel involved, Saudi Arabia involved, Palestinians involved, where there's a board for Jerusalem to manage Jerusalem and the holy sites. I would be fine with that. As long as it's protected.
Jerusalem belongs to us, man. It's just the facts. And there will always be people who will fight for Jerusalem. This is all that.
There's no reason to fight for it if we have there are protections for Al-Aqsa.
It's not about protections. The old city must be under the Palestinian state. As just if there is to be a Palestinian state, it would have to include the old city. Other than that, we go back to some sort of like
I agree with you.
National arrangement.
No, I agree with you. What I'm saying though is for East Jerusalem, the old city, to be part of Palestine, I think would require Israel to also have say so in regards to supervising the holy sites.
Whatever. Israel
And Saudi Arabia would want it, and we would bring in Saudi Arabia.
They're not gonna do it. But
They would love it. Are you crazy? That would
because it will go down in history as in like Israel took over 1967 Jerusalem, and then Israel lost control in 19 whatever.
No, not if they're involved still. Not if they're still involved.
They can be involved, but when I Google fucking Jerusalem or Aqsa Mosque, what is it going to tell me? Is it going to say in Israel, or is it going to say in Palestine? What is it going to say?
We'll deal with Google later on.
No,
okay?
it's not the matter. So if I'm going,
I know
my capital is Jerusalem, and then this motherfucker saying his capital is Jerusalem. How's that work?
East Jerusalem and West Jerusalem.
Okay, that would be a different story. Now we're talking about East Jerusalem and West Jerusalem, even though there's really no West Jerusalem anyway.
I know, but they call it West Jerusalem. There is to them. So
East Jerusalem, West old Jerusalem. City. So that's fine. So you're talking about a future where there's a Palestinian state and the capital is the old city, East Jerusalem.
Yeah, we consider it all of Jerusalem.
Okay, so that means the loss of sovereignty over what they call the Temple Mount, the Wailing Wall.
That's what I'm saying. They need to be involved.
The
Jews need to be involved. Yes.
They can be involved, dude. Stop saying involved. There's a difference between involvement and sovereignty. Like, it's not the same.
Yeah, I'm saying we would have sovereignty, but when it comes to the holy sites,
over what exactly?
Okay, the holy sites. They only got
one.
Okay, but they would be involved. Like they would have to be.
They could be involved sweeping a fucking wall. No problem. Great. They can be involved in that. Even though you understand that Wailing Wall had a whole neighborhood right there. And
I understand. I know the history. I understand. But the point is, I think there would be. They could pass if they were involved. And
you got your.
And no, here's the thing. Who?
I don't know, like peas down there.
Yeah, I get it clipped every fucking day. Those people are like
trying to find you.
Wait, what do you? You must be saying shit though.
No. I actually can go without saying anything.
I need you to moderate a debate.
Yeah, I can do that. No,
it's gonna be between me and Daniel. You know Daniel, the
gay guy.
He's very talkative though.
You just gotta mod it.
Yeah, I can do that. I'll come under a pseudonym. Just let me know when, and I'll do it.
Why did he challenge you or something?
Yeah, I've been like opening rooms and wanting like Zio to debate.
Yeah.
And he was like, "I'll do it. I'll easily do it." I was like, "Okay."
I gotta talk to you about his style so that you're ready.
I know his style. I'm very familiar with both of their styles. Basically, they would have to have very strict. There would be 0 interruptions. Period. In fact, you might even you'd probably have to have a few moderators. You might have to keep people down during the debate. So when they're during their allotted times.
Yeah, I'm not.
And then they'd have to write down the answers and questions.
No, it'd be about with him and Daniel directly.
Yeah, it's gonna be me.
But with Daniel
and whatever.
But Daniel will go.
Daniel would say, "Oh, okay. What is a Palestinian? What is it?
Questions he wants. But
yeah, I mean, he'll try to derail that way. So you gotta, I've debated Daniel.
As long as it's a debate, any claim must be substantiated with evidence. If the claim is disputed.
Well, I like both of you guys. I just,
I just want a debate where evidence and supporting facts are the catalyst.
Yeah, just make sure that you don't go full force and go in slowly and let him do a lot of the talking and then ask questions and
I don't care. I know Daniel just got embarrassed himself because he's got no facts.
That's what I'm saying. Just let him do that.
I don't mind. I want to point that out. That Daniel, I'm not taking him seriously. I just want to. He raised his hand for the challenge. I was like, all right. So I was like, I'll let Pepe mod the room, and he agreed. So
when? But make sure you let me know when.
That's what I'm gonna try and figure out. So
yeah,
I'm gonna tell him the back channel.
Well, you could text me and let me know it's gonna happen today or whatever.
Yeah.
Make sure don't forget though. I want to be a part of that. I'm not a part of it. I want to just listen in.
I'm just gonna say I probably won't have my account tomorrow or the day after. Like, and I'm being dead serious, guys. I don't say any. I literally have not said anything, but I get the same reasons for like why my account gets clipped. It's like doxing. It's like, dude, I haven't like what? I haven't even doxed anybody in this app. It's so fucking retarded. But for another story,
It will pass. It will pass.
Yeah, I can't find him. Daniel. There's a lot of Daniels on this app.
I don't know how he spells his name. I always have the hard, I don't know, how do you spell
Looking for
it?
the blue Smurf. I can't find it.
Blue Smurf, it's so weird.
Anyways.
You know, he was the first person I actually debated on Clubhouse.
Him?
Yes. Yeah.
is it Daniel at Upside World?
Just pin it in the chat. Take a look at it.
So Buttercup drives the Zionist crazy when she goes in their rooms.
Is she a Jew?
She is, but she's atheist, liberal, anti-Zionist. Wants a one state with Palestinians and Israelis. Just you know the liberals here, Pepe.
Well, the only reason I'm saying that is that a couple nights ago I put like who is the most annoying person on. I did a room like the most annoying person on Clubhouse, and then it was actually like. It was some of the like more liberal Jews that were in my space, and they were bringing her up, and I was like, "What?" And these are Jews that get kicked out of the right wing Jews spaces.
And she's like, Nikki.
Oh, really?
Talking about Nikki and.
Oh no, Nikki is not a left wing. No, Nikki doesn't even know anything about. She doesn't even know anything about Israel and Palestine. Like,
She's not a very political person.
No, but Buttercup. I mean, the way she talks, it just makes her point and lets the room erupt. Makes her point, lets the room erupt, and it just drives the Zionists crazy.
But I was listening to her a bit earlier when I was in the room. She does seem like a little bit of a chaos agent, just a little bit.
I mean,
I'm not gonna lie and say I'm not one myself. So like, I'm not like this isn't me. Like
yeah, but it's funny when she goes into the Zionist rooms. She just calls them out, but is polite about it, but it's very poignant and says, "You're committing a genocide, and this is what you're doing, and you need to answer for it. And here's evidence." I think she's a reporter actually, so she's really good at honing in on the facts.
Did you guys see the link I posted in the chat at the Daniel? Right?
Mikhail?
Oh.
Let me see.
Check. I don't know, he has a blue Smurf thing going on.
He does, but I think this is like his new. This is a guy who I saw up here earlier.
Is it? I don't know.
Did he have like a German accent almost, or?
Well, I know Daniel's voice.
Oh, you do? Okay.
He's the gay guy from.
Yes.
Yeah, this is him. Okay, I'll just message him then.
He's the guy from Israel that listens German. I think he's like Russian originally or something.
No, German. His mother, he says, was Palestinian.
Copy your profile.
Oh, you taught me this Dunning. What is it called, Pepe?
Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yeah, that is Mikhail. I'm gonna send you Mikhail in the next couple of days. What I got on GPT, like how to debate. It gave me really good tips, like really good info.
I got a real life lesson on that. See, like when I was a teenager, I started boxing. It was 16, it's a little late, right? And then like I remember I was I was being coached a little bit, and I was going to the stupid boxing classes, and at the rec center, and then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go in, I'm just gonna bob and weave. Yeah, fuck yeah, I know how to throw punches. And then I remember getting in the ring for the first time, and this guy was not even taking it that hard on me, and then it's just like what the fuck? He punched me in the face. Why? How did he just? Why? God damn it! He punched me in the fucking face again. This is bullshit. Okay, he punched me. Okay, trying to hit him. Why am I not hitting him? This is bullshit. Oh, but God damn it! I tried to hit him and he hit me in the fucking face. Jesus Christ! I am not. I was overconfident with the little skills and knowledge that I had. I thought that wow, I received some proper training from a boxing coaches, and I sucked at boxing.
Wow.
Amazing.
So, ironically,
that's the Dunning-Kruger effect. Really.
Yeah. No, but I put it into GPT, and on Club, and I said if I'm on Clubhouse, what is the best way of debating with people like this? And it gave me some really and stuff that I noticed, in debates. It gave me really good practical info based on Clubhouse. I mean, GPT is pretty awesome, and some really good tips. But I think, ironically, Pepe, there's probably people on here right now that want to punch you in the face.
I'm sure.
Oh.
I've largely tried to stay out of the because it's also just gotten old and boring. But I see a lot of flaws on both sides, and I get hate from both sides. So I'm just not. It's not even my fucking fight.
I'm mostly doing rooms like this now. Mikhail, whoever comes in, we talk. Mikhail's looking for a fight, but I'm just.
The only thing I can say, I'm just trying to tell you guys, I'm trying to be maybe even very, 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 very transparent. Is okay, so look, I'm somebody who, laughs at, I've said how I think a lot of the Zionist narratives are stupid. It's just amazing, Hasbara, okay, cool, I don't. I don't buy into it, but and of course they admit, that they do have a lot of PR and they do try to craft narratives and
they need to get their money back.
Pro-Israel and of course a lot of us kind of just okay, it's just stupid political bullshit. We don't really need to buy into it, but. What I will say with the Palestinian side, what turns me off almost instantly in most of the spaces, Amir's room is a proper example. I go in there and it is nothing but lie, but he'll accuse Israel of everything, and it's just
he's a grifter.
It's just okay, I'm not gonna. I mean, how do I have a real conversation with you?
He's grifting.
I don't consider Amir's room to be a proper representation of the Palestinian cause.
He has a buy me a coffee link up in his pin link.
That's fine. Let him do his thing.
Yeah, probably buy me a Starbucks coffee.
But I would say if I was Palestinian or pro-Palestine, I would actually not like him very much because he's really just ruining the reputation of every other person.
Well, I don't like him very much.
For them.
I don't like him very much. You got your wish.
Oh. But it's not just him. To be honest, it's people I would encounter in X Spaces a year and a half ago or whatever, and it's just all right, if you're gonna lie this, once the problem, the one thing people have to realize is once you're caught in a lie, it's one thing. A lot of Zionists will craft a narrative about the origin story of Israel, about how it's not colonization, it's decolonization, all of this stupid shit.
And there was a civil war.
And, I basically, it's just okay, I mean, yeah, amazing story, bro. I don't buy your bullshit. But it's like, okay, if you can, there have been, I can literally maybe count on one hand, like the pro-Palestinian people that just have, like, I would say, they're, I guess, somewhat fair, and they can point out actual grievances and where the Zionists or Israel has been unfair to them. And I've even had those rooms myself, like speaking specifically about the, because this is effective, at least here, and it resonates with me, obviously, because there's a bias, but when it comes to the Christians that live in Palestine and what's happened to them, and Mike Huckabee's even, being the Zionist cuck that he is, he's spoken out against it and has demanded, like, no, don't just, like, say, like, oh, you condemn what happened to the, this Christian village in the West Bank. I'm actually asking you to fucking prosecute these pieces of shit. Because Lord knows you'll cry a fucking river if somebody spray paints a fucking swastika on a synagogue. But you guys torch cars, burn, the graveyard and the periphery of what are basically stone ruins of an ancient church, and spray paint racist graffiti on the homes of these, Christian, Arabs in the West Bank. I mean, okay, if you're not gonna care for like your religious minorities, like
you've been caught on camera spraying swastikas, man. Like at this point, like you should.
I get it, but my point is this: Jews will complain because they'll say they're a persecuted minority in the West, and they'll demand the swiftest action. Okay, now you have like a real minority, the Christian Arab or Palestinian minority in the West Bank, and you're fucking crazies, that are in the West Bank are fucking with them. And they're doing what would absolutely be considered a fucking hate crime that would be investigated by the FBI, and you'd be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the fucking law. Like, that needs to fucking happen.
You need to read about the churches or the Christians in Israel, how they're spit on, beat up. Wasn't there a church that got burnt down in Israel? I think I heard.
I've seen the videos, and there's like an area of Jerusalem where you see
trees in this church. I know what you're talking about. I don't think they destroyed the actual building, but they burned a lot. These are like 1,000-old trees and stuff.
Yeah, that was in Israel.
Yeah, if you go to Jerusalem, and so this is not all of Israel. You go to Jerusalem in particular. And this is where, like, some of the really hardcore Zionist Christians, they'll go there, they'll preach, and then you get the people with the hats that often have these sideburns, and these look like Orthodox Jews of some flavor, and you see the kids spitting on them, the adults sometimes assaulting them. They really hate Christians proselytizing in that country. That is also one of the things that Mike Huckabee... I
think it might be illegal, actually. If you convert a Jew into Christianity, it might be illegal.
I don't think it's necessarily illegal, but that was one of the things that Mike Huckabee ended up going public about, because when it came to processing the visas of Christian missionaries, Israel was deliberately, I guess, being very slow in processing those. And he said, this is bullshit. But of course, Mike Huckabee, he has this warped view of Christianity where, I don't know, we have to think that Jews belong in the fucking Holy Land, which, somebody raised Catholic. Yeah, Israel is not the fucking piece of land. It's not a government. Israel is now basically the fucking church. That's it. No, it's not. Like, our covenant with God doesn't necessarily supersede God's covenant with the Jews, but we have a covenant with God, and it does not involve any of that shit that evangelicals say. And so, but unfortunately, Mike Huckabee's an evangelical, so he's a
fuck Huckabee, man. Fuck evangelicals.
But he's gotten Mike Huckabee pissed off enough to speak about Israel publicly. Israel had to they ended up issuing a public letter saying, oh, yes, but we really, I wish you handled this through the proper diplomatic channels instead of, airing this out loud as we've discussed. And, it's just like, you're making the biggest evangelicock angry and airing his grievances out loud. I mean, like, dude, what does that tell you?
They don't give a shit about you. You're just a cash cow. Evangelicals are just cash cows. That's what they are. And they don't like you, man. Like, they don't like you. You're trying to convert them. One, they literally hate your religion because of the history that they perceive.
You guys hate ours too.
Like
Let's not lie.
It's different.
It's different, but you guys kind of do.
We've had a struggle.
No, we don't hate
powers. They are more see themselves as just this bitch group that just been bitched around for.
Yeah, we don't hate Christianity or Christianity. We don't hate. We don't agree with it, but we don't hate it.
Yeah, we don't have an inherent hate.
No,
we're
not at all.
obligated by our religion to, like,
yes,
have agreements and arrangement with Christians. So they're a protected class.
Now the Jews and the Catholics, they don't get along. They have a long history.
Well, the Catholics have the longest history with them.
Yeah. Yes. But I think you get the hate thing is because we harp on the.
You gotta understand the Jewish religion, man. Like, you gotta understand Rabbinic Judaism's position against Christianity. You're an idolater, bro. Like, your churches need to come down. Everything needs to come down.
No, and I get that, but I'm somebody who, like, first of all, I'm not a very religious person. You know that. But I understand that there's going to be religious people that will look at other denominations of Christianity. They'll look at Muslims. They'll look at Hindus. They'll look at everybody as being like, well, you guys are going to go to hell. Like, you need to find salvation through Jesus. Yada yada yada. And I understand that other religions feel the exact same way. And it's just like, okay, you guys just have a different religion, especially if it's like a big part of your identity. It's just like, I don't care. I mean,
we don't say we need to wipe you out, like, so.
Yeah, but a lot of Christians
we don't need to wipe you out
either.
The Jews, if they take over Rabbinic Judaism, there's a theocracy, let's say, and they will literally wipe you out.
Yeah, but they're never going to be like able to take over the fucking world.
Never say never, bro.
How okay, they're not going to be able to take over the world.
We have prophecies that say that Jews will establish, they will have an antichrist. If they have an antichrist, or
is this in Islam that's a prophecy?
Messiah. Yeah. They'll have a false messiah. Who's the false messiah? Well, he's supposed to be the monarch, right? And he's going to be a king. So the king of Israel is the antichrist. He must be the antichrist or the false messiah. So we have prophecies that say that this will happen. So,
But I know you guys believe Jesus was an actual Messiah, if I recall correctly. Or prophet, prophet.
Yeah, we believe he's the Messiah, he's the prophet, yeah. He's the anointed one to come. Yeah, so when they appoint their Messiah, the Jesus will show up.
Yeah, so we believe in the second coming of Jesus.
But now, how accurate these stories? Like, I'm not. Again, I don't know.
Well, I would say this is Israel's biggest problem is going to be, and I don't mean to say this the right. I'm not trying to rub the Muslims the wrong way, but
that's not true. Jews do believe in hell. There is a Rabbinic Judaism concept. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I wasn't saying anything about hell.
Someone in the chat, go ahead.
So you have the Muslim immigration into Europe. Now, that I think is going to kind of shift the tide when it comes to favoring Israel, which you're already kind of seeing. You're going to, and you also, as time has gone by, since World War II, where I think that, I'll save that part for last. But then when it comes to immigration into the United States in particular, largely coming from Latin America, which is they're going to be Christian. I don't see, if anything, I see Jews being put on their back foot like a lot, and especially as time has gone on since the Holocaust. And one of the areas where I think Jews did kind of fucked up is they say never forget, never forget. Amazing. But what a lot of Jews did is, or I should say, like in the United States in particular, is that there was like, okay, I understand this very toxic thing, a genocide happened in Germany with Jews, but then you come over here and then you like trauma dump on us saying like, oh, the Nazis, look what they did to us. And somehow it's like we're supposed to like owe you some special favors or treat you like special, like fuck you. I have one grandfather who fought in World War II. The other fought in the Korean War. We didn't do anything to you. We didn't do anything to Jews. Like, how fucking dare you try to like guilt me and trauma dump on me, a fucking American who's not of German descent, who had nothing to do with the fucking Holocaust, in order to like, I don't know, curry special favor for Jews, and you guys can just do whatever. Maybe we can have some special laws to protect you guys. Like, suck a fucking dick. We're not Germany, and we didn't do this shit to you. Like these anti-BDS laws of something, and this is coming from somebody who's been on the right. It's just like, wait, what do you mean you can't boycott a company? Like, I can boycott every fucking country except for Israel? Like, fuck you. How the fuck is that American? And now it's just like, even with the what is considered anti-Semitism, I mean, didn't a judge just rule that burning an Israeli flag is somehow, it's tied to it's tied to Jews? Therefore, it's an anti-Semitic act. But I can shit on a Mexican flag. I can pee on a Japanese flag. I can do whatever the fuck I want to an American flag. But I mean, no, suck a fucking dick. Like, you don't get to cut. Like, how the fuck do you guys want these special privileges? Like, that is bullshit. And this is the one thing. Like, and I don't understand why a lot of the Jews I would talk to, and of course I've spoken with a lot, mostly right-wing Jews. This is actually a right-wing Jew is how I came onto Clubhouse. Like, we would talk about like how the ADL are like the worst fucking thing for Jews. They are literally, they create anti-Semites every time they open their fucking mouths. A lot of this like, this bullshit that they try to legislate. What do you think that does? You don't think people notice this? Like, hey, like, wait, what? We can all talk shit about each other, but wait, you're special? Suck a fucking dick. I mean, and really, it's just like, how does that work for Jews and
for Jews?
Israel in the long run?
It contains a lot of these phenomenons that you see that are pushing like this anti-Israel narrative, you could say, or propaganda. That's what it is. So it's containment. They're containing. They don't want you burning flags because then you're gonna ask. Someone's gonna look. Why is this guy burning that flag? And then it leads to a chain reaction. So they don't want these phenomenons to become like common seen among Americans. They don't want that. They want you as ignorant about Israel for as long as it takes for them to get the mission done, which is genociding all these Palestinians or ethnically cleansing them. That's what it.
Yeah, well, you know what? This is a free fucking country. I can say fuck the ancestors where I came from. I can say like the French suck. Boycott France. French are a bunch of fucking faggots. They can all eat a dick. I hope they all die in a huge fucking flood and get cancer and all of that lovely stuff. But then it's just like, if I say it about Israelis.
About Jews or Israelis, yeah.
It's just like, no, it is bullshit. And the biggest problem I see is that you get a group of, okay, like we are used to having like our liberties and our constitutional rights here in the United States, and then you have people that it's just like, oh, but when it comes to Jews in Israel, oh my God, Constitution be damned. No, I mean, what the, like, why would you ever create a fucking loophole or an exception? And like, even like Judge Napolitano, like his kind of a libertarian constitutionalist judge, like, I don't know if you've seen his shit. I mean, he's off Fox News now, but he's saying that like, the end of our First Amendment rights, the Zionists are kind of ushering that in because they want these special protections that we've never given anybody. Here in a country where blacks would be fucking hung, they weren't allowed to shit or piss in the same fucking room as us, drink out of the same fucking fountain, ride on the same side of the bus. They never got those goddamn privileges. And it's just fucking crazy. But we have we have to give them privileges because of something that happened in Germany that we did not fucking do in our own fucking country.
Hold on, Pepe, please. Just I want to tell Mikhail something. Mikhail. And Pepe, you might be interested in this too. I heard about this. I haven't used it yet, but someone told me yesterday. I think it was General, actually. So if you have a PayPal account, you could sign up for Perplexity, and they'll give you the $20 a month plan for free for a whole year.
What's Perplexity? What is that?
Perplexity is like it's like GPT, but really in-depth research. So it's very
better than the research mode in ChatGPT.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Much better. I haven't tried it. That I know it is much better. They actually, the way they do it is
an eBay account.
No, PayPal.
Oh, PayPal.
Yeah. The way they do their deep research is they iterate. So it's just like a person. It goes through, websites. It determines if they're credible. And then whatever it learns, it then reformulates the objective. And if it finds something that it isn't lining up, and you should have more information about it, it will go and then get that more information. And it doesn't reformulate your objective, like your objective, but its objectives to get to the answer. So you end up with a full, complete picture of things that you would have never, thought about. So they have the proprietary technology for that. They're known for that, and it cites credible sources for everything. It has multiple other features too, like you could upload like 100 documents, and you could have analysis done on them, cross-referencing, looking for certain patterns that you're trying to find. It's very good for that kind of thing. And you could choose your model. You could use GPT in it, or you could use Gemini, whatever you want. But 1 year free. It's the $20 a month plan. So you should sign up for it before it goes away. I'm going to do it tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
I will say one thing that kind of pissed me off is that like the other week, or actually it was last week. So you have Gideon. It's a new software they're going to use to surveil the American public, and they have a partnership with Palantir, and it's using Israeli ontology to discover people online that could be future mass shooters, and they're looking for quote unquote specific grievances. And this is a guy. The founder was I guess IDF Special Forces or some shit. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, the first thing I thought to myself, and the first thing, what does Gideon mean? I actually don't know.
The judge, the whole river scene where the army is supposed to like go fight. I forgot who, and Gideon is the one because the army apparently is too big he wants to like downsize, and so he goes to this river, and he's like, the believers, the ones who are with me, the real dudes, you won't drink from the river. They apparently they were thirsty, so a lot of people drank from the river. So those guys are eliminated, and all that's left is the ones who didn't, and they end up going and fighting. They win, So it's like what is it? A shifting or like a selective system. It's just that the name is because he's the one who handpicks or chooses or categorizes or filters, you could say, and he's a judge.
That's the weird thing. So I don't think this is like an accident. Like, I do think that it's just like, oh, there's a mass shooting. Amazing. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get ahead of this. And this happened even before the mass shooting. He was, this company was getting started. And I was just like, okay, this is, to me, it sounds like an inroads for Israel to try to, like.
It's called pre-crime surveillance.
Yes, I agree, and that's why, and that's what they were calling it, like pre-crime surveillance.
Yes, it's a software or like a freaking AI ChatGPT called Gideon. They just trying to make a seed round for, to get money for funding, and he's partnering with Palantir and some other crappy AI craze.
And so, like, I'm all against like anybody who wants to commit terrorism against Jews or, kill or hurt Jews, or anything bad to Jews, in the United States, like, I'm all for stopping that. But do I trust a software that, do I think there's obviously, there's a bend and something they're trying to leverage? Like, yeah, like, I don't trust this shit whatsoever. And the reality is, though, is that you have this little fucking country with 0.02% of the world's fucking religious or ethnic population that wants to center themselves in our fucking country, and I do not fucking care. Like, literally, guys, I just want, let us fucking be. The world doesn't revolve around Jews, and I definitely don't want it to revolve around Muslims either. I just want to, let us be who we are. And that's that. Like, it's like, I don't think it's necessarily me being like anti-Semitic or Islamophobic, but it's just like, guys, we want to do our own shit. We want to be left the fuck alone. We have a way of life in the West.
Dude, you're the one who came to.
And I don't want Muslims to become more Western. I don't expect Jews to become more like us. I just want to be left the fuck alone.
Yeah,
that is my biggest right.
Racist, supremacist. That's.
Yeah, but you gotta start leaving. You gotta start leaving these other countries alone then.
Okay, I want us to, but no, hold on a second. Why can't like white Western Christian countries be left the fuck alone? I'm fine with leaving whichever ethnic, brown or black or whatever group,
because
Muslims,
America's not,
and their countries alone.
Again, America's not white. America's a mix of a whole bunch of people that aimed to.
I'm talking about. I'm not just talking about America. I'm talking about.
Change your
I'm talking about
Look
Europe
how
also.
frustratingly stupid this woman is.
Shut up, George.
She's literally.
You idiot.
I'm talking about Europe also. Europeans, Asians, and Africans.
The pure Christian country.
They have countries.
Said, I want the West to be left alone.
Okay, hold on,
you're
George.
a supremacist. And then what did she say was super shit after that?
I know, but George.
I'm the retard, yeah.
Okay, but George. Okay, first of all, what I was saying is like America is a new world country. When we look at Asia, Africa, and Europe, okay, these are old world countries where the boundaries, not always, but more so than not, are confined by the ethnic, religious, cultural, and racial boundaries of specific groups. I don't think there's a reason for us to basically fuck that up. I think the Irish should be Irish, the Somalians should be Somalian, the Japanese should be Japanese, the Saudis
That is the
should be
most
Saudi.
stupid argument For you and for George.
What?
It's the most stupid argument. What does that mean? Irish is Irish, Somalian are Somalian. How the Irish, where they came from?
That's fine. That's not an issue. Everybody has their land, and the people on that land who own that land have the right of self-determination when it comes down to that land. That's it. But however, with the United States, at this point in time, all these minorities, all these demographics are American citizens, and there is no taking away that right, and the privileges that come with being an American citizen. There's no reversing the clocks of time. Like, that's it. If you want to establish a white state or like a white ethno state or white ethno community, no one is stopping you in America. You can totally go and start a neighborhood and have white people there. And that's just, you can do that. Nothing's stopping you from doing that. There's actually a lot of places where there's like only white people. It's clearly that's not the issue. All I'm saying is that you see the rise of these movements, and it's coinciding with the rise of a specific demographic, which is the Latino demographic.
Sure, I would just say this. There was, I don't want to take pot shots at Jews because I can really get into it with what Muslims have said, but like, I believe it was Iceland, and they like, it wasn't too long ago they allowed their first Jewish rabbi to go there. And he's like, the problem is that the Iceland is not Jewish enough, and it's just like, really, cocksucker.
Wait, Pete, can I ask you a question, man?
Like, why can't these Nordic people that whose ancestors came to Iceland just live in fucking peace? In Iceland, I mean, they literally, this is something you cannot do in America. When they go shopping, they leave their babies outside in their fucking carriages. Like, nobody's afraid they're gonna hurt them. It's just like super high trust. And it's just like, yeah, amen for these people. In fact, don't let in any of us other swarthier fucking Europeans into your fucking country, because we'll probably fuck it up, like, a lot. And you guys have your own, like, whatever is unique about these white people, carry it on. Like, you guys do not need to change. You have a great, situation where you live. And why should that be fucked up? You do not need to let in Muslims. You don't need to let in Hindus. You don't need to let in Jews. You do not need to be multicultural.
God, we already explained this to you. I don't know why you keep ignoring the fact that these countries, exclude the United States for a second, a lot of these European countries, these Western European countries, the reason they're doing this is because they have to. It's not because they want to or they love us or they just lovers for minorities. Like, no, it's not the case. It's because they have a demographic collapse. They are not producing. They don't have the proper growth rates to sustain.
Okay, but who gains? Realistically, who's gaining the most from the non-whites that move into white, predominantly white countries?
The state itself, because it needs the demographics.
The state itself and the wealthy.
Sure, but we can discuss what are the reasons why there's a low birth rate in these countries among the, you could say, indigenous populations. You can discuss that. Now, whether you want to blame the wealthy, the oligarchy, I don't know, the monarchy, I don't know what the fuck you want to blame.
Well, I would just say this, Mikhail. I have a very simple solution. Kuwait, Oman, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, they have a very simple solution. Oh, we need workers? Amazing. You can come in and work. Go ahead, work. And of course, they're a little bit different than Scandinavia. Oh, you're a faggot? You've been fucking Arab men? Okay, amazing. Okay, we're going to go ahead and detain you and promptly deport you. Oh, you can't pay for yourself anymore? Oh, okay, we're going to deport you. You want citizenship? Oh, you married a Saudi woman? Yep, not happening.
Confused what?
In other words, they do not give citizenship to anybody that is not native to the Arab Peninsula.
They don't give citizenship.
And so, like,
that's not necessarily true.
They give citizenship.
Yeah, how do you get citizenship to the UAE?
Indian, Pakistanis, Polish, a lot of Eastern Europe.
They don't get citizenship. They get residency.
that's part of the process.
No, they're known for not giving citizenship.
You get residency.
You have 90% of their population is literally foreign.
But yeah,
And so they realize they cannot have people that fucking they cannot give these people citizenship. So it will completely fuck up everything they have. It's obviously they're not going to allow them to stay into power if you were to give all of these people citizenship.
If their country's part of the EU or not. If it's not part of the EU, I think there's some sort of program. You end up working in the EU countries.
No, but I'm talking about the UAE, Kuwait, Qatar.
Oh, I thought.
Yeah, you can get citizenship.
No, I'm talking about the Gulf Arab states.
No, it won't.
No, I think the Gulf Arab states have the perfect idea, where it's basically.
He's making it seem like it's impossible. You can.
No, what I'm saying is that, I think that the Gulf Arab states have the right idea. They need workers. Obviously, they need workers. That's why the majority of the people in their country at any given time are foreign. But they do not give them citizenship. They do not allow them to vote. They will not allow any criminals to fucking stay. They will not allow freeloaders to stay.
Because we don't need them. We don't need them.
Can I answer that?
And so, I do think that, Western countries should have more of that type of, outlook. They should not look at making these people citizens.
Netanyahu, shut up. Shut up.
Can I ask, answer this?
No way you put your dog in this, yeah.
Yeah, just be, look, the difference here, maybe the thing that you are not paying attention to is that you cannot, compare Western countries to the Gulf countries. The Gulf countries are absolutely an exception with, sorry, it's Adhan, with all measures. However you look at that, they are very exceptional. And a lot of Arab, analysts, they don't consider them to be countries with long-term sustainability, that they cannot, continue to exist, based on this model. That's why now, if you look at Saudi Arabia, they are trying to look to alternative ways to generate wealth in the future. These countries, they started there from the beginning with a very disrupted and, misunderstanding on how to build a stable national economy. So they are basically now, they are spending everything, without any real calculation. If you look at how they spend their money, they just, hey, we need doctors, just get them from any country, pay them. We don't need to maintain them in our countries. Don't need to give them citizenship because we don't need that. They are just servants, and at any point we would just deport them and bring you others, and so on and so on. So you cannot take them as a reference. They are not a reference for well-developed, stable countries.
Thank you.
We can argue that for hours. That's how it is.
Thank you.
As for you as Westerners, okay, you said, hey, let's bring them, okay, and we won't give them citizenship, okay, and the moment the contract ends, they will, go back to their countries. You know what you will cause, doing that? First, those people who will generate wealth, they will take their wealth with them to their home countries. Instead of investing that wealth in the countries where they generated their wealth. Sorry?
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about people like high skilled
Westerners, how we fail.
Secular Western countries, they allow these people. They have immigration. They allow.
I know, but. Mikhail, I'm talking about his model, the model he wants to apply.
Like the UAE, like the Arab Gulf.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so
if you're gonna apply that, if you're gonna apply that model in Western countries, instead of you will have the chance, for instance, to keep those highly skilled people in your country by giving them citizenship. If you using the current model in the West, but if you're gonna, deploy or employ the UAE model, okay, just, bring or bring those highly skilled people, okay, use them for a number of years, and then throw them up, again, or throw them away to their countries. You will just do this. These people, again, they work for 4 years. They will produce wealth.
The UAE will give citizenship. The Arab Gulf will give citizenship to really, necessary, high level people. So it's like, doctors and engineers, scientists, stuff like that. So they'll give citizenship to these people. It comes with a condition, but they do give it. The thing is with the European countries, I wanted to respond to Pepe on this. We don't have a demographic problem in these Arab countries. It's not like we don't have the birth rates to sustain these countries in the future. It's just these countries are building from the ground up at this point, and they need all that labor to come in until they have that population. So at this point, they don't have that population. They do have the proper growth rate. They just need labor. So there's no reason to give these people citizenship anyways. And then the ones that they do essentially need high skill, they'll give them citizenship with conditions. So that's how it works. The reason the West doesn't do this is because, again, they don't have the birth rates. They are below sustainable birth rates. So they need to bring in anybody, because in a few decades, I believe it's already irreversible anyways. These countries are condemned. But, whatever, maybe they can turn it around. That's why there's immigrants coming into Europe, not any other reason.
Well, I'll say this. I would say you're creating a decadent lifestyle in Gulf Arab states, as well as in the West, because you have people who believe they're above having to work certain jobs. And this is even 20 years ago, this is something that would be talked about, is that one of the biggest problems with the Gulf Arab states is that they're not innovative. They have a lot of money, but they produce nothing. They produce natural resources, which is not something of their own doing. And so it's just like, okay, going forward, what they have this wealth that they can utilize. What are they going to actually create out of that?
The UAE is doing what every country usually does. Yeah, real estate. So they're investing in a lot of real estate construction. So this motivates like the whole economy, kind of gets it moving. At the end of the day, you're building up your country. So that's what it is. And they're incentivizing all these foreigners, expats, to come and live in the UAE. Barely any taxes. High wages. Pretty high amenities and security. Healthcare. So that's all these things are available in these UAE Arab Gulf countries. So
yeah, but Mikhail, the problem if you looked at the UAE, for instance, they didn't, for instance, try to invest in other sectors like industry, research, and so on. These people, like, they have so much wealth that they can finance like mega projects. I don't know what are the reasons here. I have no understanding. Okay, what is happening there? But you don't see them, for instance, having mega steel industry, for instance, or maybe
we don't have steel. Like steel, I don't know how available it is in the desert.
No, you don't need to have it as natural resource. You can import them. There are
they're importing it.
There are a lot of countries that they have steel industry, because steel industry is not just making how can I say this, steel. No, it's a whole sector of metallurgy. We call that metallurgy. That means science that studies metals. You can manufacture them and transfer them into other products. cars.
I'm sorry. There's something called economics. Like, is it economically in my interest to go and invest in a whole industry in a world where there's already these high-level industries in the same field, and I need a decade or more to just get to the level where I'm at, same as them, if not just lesser. And by the time I'm profitable, it's just like the investment is too high. There's other ways to invest and without
Exactly. The point of building up a national economy is basically to diversify your economy, your wealth production. Okay, I'm not, for instance, if you just mentioned the UAE and you talk straight away about real estate, so it's basically the main sector with some tourism and as most Gulf country, natural gas and petrol. So there are these three main sectors that are limited to these countries. Why?
Because they're really relatively new countries, and they're going to have to build the infrastructure, real estate. They're copying, I believe, the American economy, like services-based economy. So they're diversifying when it comes down to providing services, especially like, digital media production, content creation. So a lot of that is, the UAE is incentivizing people to come to the UAE and live their lives and do this. And in return, you don't really have to pay taxes. So that's the deal. And so the more people come in, the more real estate investment takes place, and they can expand and they can build this country in the desert. It's not a bad strategy. I agree there needs to be diversity, like maybe in industrial, but again, it gotta be economically viable. It's gotta make money, and if they're making money the way they're currently doing it, can't really complain. But it's not like these countries haven't invested in other companies or corporations. They have. They invest in everything, in tech and transportation and manufacturing. Like a lot of this Turkish military manufacturing that's happening, the Arabs are invested heavily in all that. So yeah, it's like I might not know. I agree that what we need is a military industry. The Arab world needs a military industry. And Saudi Arabia or UAE or all of them should champion this and should take it upon themselves. But you know why that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Is why should I invest in a military industry when I got the United States and I need the United States? The United States needs me. Petrodollar, we're all making trillions of dollars. Happy. Everybody's happy. Arab Gulf countries are happy, man. The arrangement that they have is perfect.
Yeah. They probably didn't get the lesson, for instance, as the Turks did before them, or as Ukraine now is getting the lesson. So, yeah.
Ukraine.
Yeah, Ukraine. They got a heavy lesson from this this ongoing war with Russia. They following the fall of the USSR, they gave up their nuclear weapons. The nuclear weapons they inherited from the Soviet Union, and they signed an agreement that they will transfer those weapons to Russia.
They made an agreement they wouldn't join NATO or make any steps to normalize NATO within the country, and yet they violated all that. And I'm not sure, you could blame the Ukrainians. I believe the revolution was instigated, and Zelensky is no longer legitimate. There needs to be elections, and he's using the state of war that the country is in is to delay these elections. So that's mainly what's happening.
I'm not talking about. Look, I'm not talking about politics here. It's about the military industry. How we should not count on foreign powers to provide you with weapons. I mentioned just two examples.
The lesson and the only lesson: you don't fuck with Russia. That's.
Gosh, yeah. Well, once cannot those support invasion, or occupation. It's we just we just cannot support that. So for me, that's my position. Regardless of, I know, like I see the point of Russia. I see their their perspective about what is happening with NATO. Okay, I understand their fears. I understand their how can I say this? Like their national security concerns and all of that. But invading a country, for me, like it's just a principle.
They haven't invaded the country. They've invaded eastern Ukraine, that Donbass region, which has been at war since like 2014, and there are separatists there, and all these people are mainly Russian-speaking people, and they have all become, for the most part, Russian citizens. So they're all Russian passport holders. So from Russia's perspective, this is all Russian territory now. So. These are all Russian people, Russian-speaking people.
But you see, Mikhail, like if you're gonna use that, logic, we can for instance look now, for instance, to Zayus, and at some point we'll say, what, the Jews they lived some at some date, at some year, in Saudi Arabia, in Hijaz. They were
That's
there.
not what the Russians are doing. These people are already there. They've always been there, and there's no such thing as Ukraine and Russia are nations, are states that belong to the same people. They're all the same people. These are all like Slavic people. There's no. It's like It's like Arabs fighting over states and borders. It's the same.
Slavic people are actually like all Eastern Europe are called Slavic people.
Oh, they're all the same people.
And same people, with the difference that the Russians at some point they had this mix with they mixed up with the Vikings, like with the Nordics people, because actually the first Russian king, the first ruler of the proper Russian people, okay, was basically a Viking from Sweden or Norway. I can find his name now, but Ukrainians, I don't know, like, yes, they shared a lot with Russian people, yes. But they were always treated, if you go back to history, they were always treated since the era of the Russian Empire as a second-class, people. They were not appreciated. They were not from the Tsars, then Stalin, and and so on. You gotta. I think. To be fair, I think we better see what is happening from the perspective of both sides. Again, see what I mean here.
I don't see two sides. I see a revolution that took place, probably organized and orchestrated by the West, where you prop up this stupid leader who's literally a stripper, and literally has videos of him wearing high heels and dressing like a stripper, and this guy is now the leader of a country, and he's not even an ethnic Ukrainian, he's a Jew, and at that point, this guy is leading us to a war with one of the most powerful nations in the world, Russia, that has nuclear weapons, and hasn't even instigated a war against you yet. The Russians are not in a state of war. You haven't seen war yet. The Russians still call this a special operation. War is when every man and able fighter in Russia is storming down your border. There would be no Ukraine if there was like a war. But the Russians don't want, they want systematic. They want to dismantle the state systematically at this point. So, a war of attrition, that's what they want. And, they want Kiev to collapse on its own instead of like them occupying Kiev and then dealing with an armed resistance, an urban warfare kind of setting. So they learned from like Chechnya and all that. and Afghanistan, which for some reason they did try to push towards Kiev, and then they stopped. I don't know exactly what happened there, but I think they. I don't know. I don't know if it was a ruse or that they just had technical failure or something. I don't know.
I can totally agree with you that the main culprit, when it comes to what is happening now in Ukraine and this war, is basically the U.S. Putin has been warning them since 2007 about the worrying extension of NATO, into the Eastern.
They have a military doctrine. It's very clear. NATO can't approach that border, the Ukraine especially, because that's how you invade Russia, because that's all kind of flat land. You can keep rolling.
Mikhail, the situation is, dates back to the 90s, when the USSR was.
It goes even further back. It goes back to Napoleon. Europe continues to invade Russia. They continue to attempt to invade Russia, whether Napoleons or Nazis or to them NATO.
It's a large territory. Everyone, would.
It's not just a large territory. It's a flat territory.
Yeah. Everyone would like to take, a part of it. I lived in Russia, by the way. I studied there in Russia for 6 years. But anyways, so
the conquest of Russia has always been a dream for European fanatics, monarchs.
Obviously, Hitler himself, he made a special plan, his plan Barbarossa. It was the name of his plan to invade Russia, and apparently he didn't get the lesson either from Napoleon. But anyways, who cares? So the point is, going back to the conflict that's happening now, when the Warsaw Pact countries, were dissolved, and the same thing for USSR. The Russians, they went to the U.S. So it said okay, for our security, and to maintain peace, let's just sign an accord that will guarantee the security of Russia, and that NATO will be at no point a threat to Russia, that you would never go beyond, the current borders to Eastern, Europe, so we can keep that area, militarily neutral, and that's those countries enjoy economic growth and, their independence and all of that, and we won't have any issue with that as long as our security is, guaranteed. And Putin himself, he mentioned this during his speech in the International Security Congress in Munich back in 2007. He made that famous speech, and he said that the U.S. back then, they refused to sign an agreement. They refused to make it a formal, accord. They just, made some oral promise. So we went. NATO won't get, won't extend to the east. Okay, and we promised that.
I know the deal you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. Ukraine can't join the EU because EU means NATO. Means coordinating with NATO.
Yeah.
And it usually also means eventually you will join.
Well, they fucked up.
They tried and they learned the hard way. And at the end of the day, with Russia, no one likes Russia to begin with. Or the Europeans, or even now the Middle Easterners, no one really likes them. And so everybody is enjoying the Russians getting packed up in their own shit. So, I'm not necessarily upset about the Russians. I am upset about the Ukrainians. I feel the Ukrainians, especially the men, they don't want this war. And for them to be sent off to be killed after a few weeks of basic training is ridiculous. And I don't, you could only imagine the mindset of someone like that. That's horrible.
But Mikhail, I've been thinking, I want that we make a debate about this. A discussion, a big discussion. Whether following the Shanghai summit, if we are witnessing the creation of a new pole in this world, because there are like three main incidents that happened during those 2-3 years. Okay, these 2 years. So the war in Ukraine, the war on Gaza, and the polemic that created, and the injustice that the current unipolar system, global system, that uh, has created or is responsible for, and the attacks on Iran and how they were, basically unjustifiable, and
from your perspective, unjustifiable, but from the perspective of the United States and U.S. national interest, they are justifiable.
I'm not here, to support or, the U.S. can say whatever they want, but the point is, and that, abusive use of this international sanction, thing, okay, it's just, I think it hit them. It hit like China, Russia, and even Iranians, because they are part of BRICS now. Okay, so how long should we, accept this? How long should we be silent? Because China themselves, the Chinese, they would look at what is happening now and say, hey, you know what? I can be the next one. Today is Russia and Iran, and literally a genocide. Some raged people killing everyone with no accountability, with absolutely no accountability, and all of that is happening, and in a system that I myself, as a permanent member of the UN Security Council, as a major nuclear power, and one of the biggest, economic, countries on this globe, 2 billions, creating, trillions of wealth, and we can't do anything about what is happening. It's like things that are out of control, and they work according to the wishes of basically 2 countries, the U.S. and the Zionist state. So
I think your Zionist state is an extension of the imperial Western arm. Like that's what.
I don't know. For me personally,
Israel's really no different than Taiwan. Actually has a better case, but it's kind of like Taiwan, kind of like South Korea, kind of like Japan. It's like maybe Singapore to a lesser extent. So these are all like branches by Western imperialism.
Yeah, but that tiny that tiny thing, they literally planned and how can I say that? They triggered three major wars. So the continuous or the ongoing war, even though it's with economical sanctions on Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, and now in Gaza, and God knows what would be the next one. We don't know. And they
overall, like if you're looking at American, you're looking at, dude, Israel, imperial arm, no problem, but Israel itself is not sustainable long term. Like unless you manage to radically change the people in the region, it's not going to happen. So It's just, I believe like Israel's just like a temporary thing. At some point, the United States is going to have to get involved directly. And they're already talking about this, already hinting at this, but Israel itself is not something sustainable long term. Just demographic wise, it's just not going to work out. We'll see. I don't know. It's like a waste of time at this point. It's like making sure someone is, I don't know, messing around with their bike or something. Like, eventually I'm gonna fix my bike and I'm gonna hit the road again. Like, you're not gonna stop me from doing that. Once I hit the road, like, it's a matter of time before I catch up with you on your bicycle versus my motorcycle. And that's pretty much it. I don't see Israel continuing on its own. You could say like we have no problem like Western or America working with America as the Arab world. We have no problem with that. Like, we can work with America. We just don't see why Israel is part of this equation. And is it a lack of trust? Are you not trust us per se? Like, do you think, what exactly is it? We don't have any hostile history with the United States. Like historically, like we have with the West.
Historically, yes, you are right about that. But the main, I think the main issue between Arab people, not Arab governments, between them and the US is basically the Zionist state. What is happening to the Palestinian people is the main issue between, even if you include the Iranians, okay, the Iranian people, again, of the government, and all Arab people, around the world, the main issue with U.S. that hostility that they feel towards the U.S. is basically caused by the Zionists.
You keep explaining the Zios. No problem. The Zios definitely have a hand to play in all this. No doubt. But if you look at these conflicts, they are in the interest of the United States, maintaining American hegemony, especially over one of the most important trade commodities on the face of this planet, oil. So oil and gas. So the United States, by necessity, to maintain hegemony in the world, has to control or has to have some sort of allegiance in this region. And that's what it is. And when you look at these Arab Gulf countries are rising countries. They're building from the ground up. They have a lot of oil. But in a world where there is no the United States, and let's assume there is no Israel, and you have a greater Arab world, these countries won't last. These countries will be the backyard of a greater Arab world, and they don't want that. So, in a way, Israel, the United States, in a way, it's in their favor. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So,
yeah, probably.
The Arab world really has three centers. It has Iraq, Egypt, Levant. You could say Syria, Damascus. So these are Cairo, Baghdad, and Damascus. These are the main central capitals of the Arab world. One of them needs to rise. And all three of them need to also get off the ground as well. Once we have all three of them working at a decent capacity, we can change all of this around. But unfortunately, that's where you see the conflicts. They concentrate on Baghdad and Damascus. Egypt is already contained in a way, but not fully contained. So that's what they're doing. The thing is that they lost Damascus. So Damascus is now back in our control, and Baghdad might follow soon, especially with the rise of Turkey. And right now they're talking about sanctions on Turkey. So the new threat, the rising threat, is Turkey. There's no escaping the reality. Like, at this point, what October 7th did was the greatest achievement in my perspective is the fall of Assad.
It is unprecedented with all measures, with all scales. It's an unprecedented, event in history. This war, nothing would be the same.
Containing Iran, opening up Syria now. It's just a matter of time. Any future theater against Israel is going to be Syria. That's the fact. And Syria backed by Turkey. It's impossible to defeat that. You got hundreds of thousands of people. All they need to do is push your border. You're smoked. You're done.
You know, like for some reason, I think that Zayus, like they could, turn or maybe drive this war in another direction that, won't make all this, how can I say this? Not, this, in direction that it won't have this controversion and cause all this, discussion about the Palestinian cause and, make people like, worldwide, become conscious about the suffering of some people in some corner of the planet. But somehow, and maybe, I don't know if you agree with me with this or not, somehow they become so stupid, so dumb, that they work in the benefit of the Palestinian cause without realizing that. By making it this famous and by exposing, their influence, for instance, in a lot of countries, including the US. Now, a lot of Americans, they are asking, why are we paying all this money to the Israelis?
Yeah, America's been asking this question forever. We've been asking this question since the beginning of the war in 2003 on Iraq. We've been asking.
Yeah, but Mikhail, not with this magnitude,
like not with this magnitude. It's just we have a different generation. That's why you see it in this what mainly you see on universities. In universities, that's what you're seeing.
Yeah. And now, especially with the social media, it's widespread.
Okay, it's widespread, but it's going to take time before this translates into anything with impact. You're waiting on the next administration to adopt a lot of the sentiment that these newer generations, Gen Z and millennials, have.
Absolutely.
Good luck. We'll see if the Democrats decide to adopt this stuff, or they decide risking another Republican administration taking over. So that's what we're going to see. But do we have enough time before we get there? No. So we can't really rely on a change in administration in the United States short term. What we have to rely on is these Western countries, UK, France, and a bunch of other EU, powerful countries to join in and then recognize Palestine, and then through that advocate for sanctions via their state courts. And then when we get sanctions, we get to a circumstance like apartheid South Africa. So the way to take on Israel is going to be apartheid South Africa example. That's the only way. And this is the only model. If you look, apartheid South Africa had nukes too. Yeah, pretty powerful military too.
Yeah, for a period of time, yeah. Not just to the administration, by the way. Don't forget about the Congress. Oh, that would be that would be a whole show. The next elections for new Congress. People would really love to see that, to watch that happening. How would
if Congress somehow
change?
decides to stand against this, Congress is going to be held accountable. Which party is the one standing against this? The Republicans. If the Republicans are standing against this, is the Republican Party for a two-state solution to begin with? And then we're going to have to see from the Republican Party whether they're for a two-state. And that would be a big deal, because if a party takes on a position, that's it. We can use that position against them. Any debate between Democrats and Republicans is going to be, well, these guys don't believe in a two-state solution. They don't believe in peace. And that's going to be a big deal. That's going to be a big problem for them to get over. I don't think the Republican Party would come out outright and say that. So I'm not sure. Like I said, we can't be relying on the United States at the current, within the limited scope that we have. This is something after. The United States would be the cherry on top, not the pudding.
That was a good one. But yeah. Anyways, now we are at least sure that France will recognize the Palestinian state. They insist, and they are really hard on that. Um, Britain, they sound hesitant somehow. Maybe I'm wrong about them, but when I hear Starmer, talking about recognize the Palestinian state, like I fear him. I feel like he's still a little uncomfortable about it.
They're not
Maybe
doing this in our favor. Like this is not because they
Yeah.
love us, because there's pressure locally.
I know.
There's a lot of protesting, but also because for the sake of Israel too itself. You're at this point it's clear you're not gonna get the Palestinians to leave Gaza. So what's this? At this point, all you are capable of is genocide. Like it's not, and we're not gonna let you do that. Why? Because it's gonna work against you. It's not in your favor. There's a lot of media today. You don't want to go down in history as like someone who committed genocide against an Arab population. No, that's not going to go down well. Israel got no options at this point. Their only choice at this point: continue the war. Hopefully, Hamas will surrender if we make life a miserable hell. And also, we need the war to continue because we have rising actors like Syria and Turkey, and we haven't even finished off Iran yet. So there's still all these problems that Israel has. And these problems, if the war ends, are not going to be addressed until another decade or more, and it would be too late by then. Israel would also already be in a position where it cannot enforce a hegemony in the region. It doesn't matter. Their air power is going to be irrelevant.
No, they just okay. Air power. That's what we got now. For now, their soldiers, ground soldiers, they literally suck. During this war, they again, this is according to their chief of staff. They lost over 5,000 soldiers. Yeah, I think you know about the.
I don't think they're KIA. No, I don't think Israeli.
No. It's their news, Amir.
I don't know any Israeli source that talks about 5,000 KIA.
I can now. I can send it to you now. They talked about that the Ministry of Defense, they recorded over 5,000 bereaved family during this conflict.
Having 5,000 families, isn't a big deal. I mean, you can say, well, your wife's family is bereaving, your own family, immediate family, you could have a bunch of families that are grieving around one individual. It's not a
bereaved family. No, it's.
I know the article you're talking about. It's a statue
in. Yeah.
It doesn't confirm
so it's a statue.
KIA. I really don't believe that Israel's hiding KIA numbers, especially when those are Israeli citizens. Maybe the foreign fighters or Lone Star program, maybe.
So and there are like a couple of times where there are disparities and discordance between the numbers, mainly the number of injured, coming from.
Because you got to take into perspective what angle are you, or how are you defining injured? So mental health issues, is that considered injured or not? Like that will change the number. A disease, an infection. Like what is it, and what classifies as an?
Look, back then, I think it was the middle of the war. There were disaccords between numbers announced by, the Ministry of Health, basically hospitals, and the Ministry of Defense. So for regarding, injured soldiers.
I believe the injuries are in the maximum number, like 10,000. This would include mental health as well, but injuries, real injuries, I would say in the 3,000 to 5,000, which is a serious number, by the way.
I don't know. I don't know. But no, it's it's a very big number. You are fighting guerrillas. You are not fighting a regular army. You are just fighting guerrillas. You have like the best armored vehicles.
It's not about Hamas. People keep making it about Hamas. It's not, because even if Hamas was evaporated tomorrow, it doesn't mean Israel wins.
No. It's not about that. Look here. Here we are talking about the scale of losses compared to the magnitude of war. And the power of your enemy. Okay, so you are fighting armed groups like they have basically low power weapons. You can remember Kalashnikovs and few IEDs. They don't have any air power. They don't have any maritime power.
It's not about that. It's like total war and just decimate the enemy and lay everything flat. That's what they're doing right now.
Exactly.
That's not how you win. Israel to win is to get rid of the Palestinians from Gaza, because the next stage you see this global gathering around supporting a Palestinian state. So even if you take out Hamas, even if you get your captives back, whatever, it doesn't change anything. The fact is, once there is no Hamas, there's no excuse to continue the war, and at that point, rebuilding effort is going to take place, and then at that point, the world is going to pressure Israel into a two-state solution. So that's what it is. For Israel to win is to prevent a two-state solution, eliminate the option of a two-state solution prior to the end of the war. And for them, they haven't figured out how. At this point, they don't really know what to do in Gaza, so they're directing their attention to the West Bank. And you see that they're advocating for the annexation of the West Bank. So, and I believe that actually might happen.
The annexation of the West Bank. They are talking about it now, and they are trying to accelerate, that process, because they realize that France is, seriously considering the recognizing Palestine, as a state. So they are trying to enforce and accelerate things, maybe in order to prevent the worst, which is the establishment of the Palestinian state, and then they at some point, at that point, they won't have to give up on a lot of territory, maybe, or it just
there would just be no Palestinian state at that point. You would be advocating for a one-state, solution, and at that point, I believe they'll try to do some sort of framework to appease the world. But other than that, if they annex the West Bank and the world allows it, it's game over. It's game over for a Palestinian state. It's a beginning of a new game. So it's the game that Ariel Sharon tried to prevent by pulling out of Gaza to begin with. So if the Israelis decide to annex the West Bank, and most likely they're going to occupy Gaza, which is de facto annexation as well. We're talking at that point, it's a one state, no reality of a two state, and whether these people are going to be made equal citizens or not, it's going to be a straight up apartheid at that point. And we all know what happened to apartheid South Africa. So either way, the Israelis are.
Okay, so look, you know what? I don't see the world in the mood now to accept the annexation of the West Bank. Maybe the U.S., but definitely not the world. Definitely not Europe. They are not in the mood for that. Germany was supporting Israel.
The West wants to clear the record. A lot of these Europeans, they don't give a shit about us. What they want is to go down in history as someone who opposed.
Yeah, because their people is there. The people that are there, they are protesting. Things they didn't stop. Maybe they were hoping that with time, things will go down and people would stop protesting. But their countries are basically boiling. They've been boiling for almost 2 years now. Protests, and some groups even assaulting companies investing in their countries, like in the UK, for instance. So it's whether you like it or not, it's an instability, and instability is always a threat. Instability is always a threat. They don't want that. They want things to go to normal, people happy, living, and just like happy wife, happy life is like happy people, have prosperous economy. It's it's the same thing. So we don't like that. We don't want that. Okay, so let's just follow, you know, uh, how can I say, the public opinion.
That's all we got, really. That's the only card that we have that's on our hand, in our hand. Everything else is just long term. At the end of the day, what we want is the miracle that God promised us. That's what we want. We want the victory that God has promised us. And so this war is more even than about Israel and Palestine and the world. It's about a covenant being put at test. That's what it is. Our covenant is being tested, and so, if God is true in His promise, our religion is true, we will win. And if we're false, we will lose. It's that. And same thing. I would assume there are some Israelis that are calculating it the same way.
No. I believe that the Palestinians, they will win. I believe that.
I believe in Hamas. I don't believe in the Palestinians. I believe in Hamas.
They are Palestinians.
لا احنا هذول ناس مجاهدين صدقوا ما عاهدوا الله عليه. So that's what it is. If we go to Palestinians, you just heard there was a woman right here, Palestine. We should just not fight and all. People are dying and all. So and there's a lot of Palestinians who are they're happy, living in their Zingo, in their as a refugee with their 4 blocks, and they got a metal roof. And some people are just a lot of humans are like cattle. They'll live like cattle, and so that's
Mikhail, brother, look, believe me, I see it the same. It's the same picture that was basically back in the day in Algeria, my country. By the way.
You guys got liberated yourself only for a government that is, a dictator to come and take over. One dictatorship, a French dictatorship, with another dictatorship. And then when the Islamists tried to do something, they were all massacred.
Wait a moment. No. Look.
And today, all we get from Algeria is these every now and then on the news. Something with Morocco. That's all we get from out.
Wait a moment. If you're gonna talk about post-independence period, that's another discussion. Because if you try to think, okay, for now, for instance, what will happen following the independence of Palestine, whether the Islamists will take over, or Fatah would do some maneuvers and establish something, or a military coup would happen, you don't know that. You cannot predict that.
There is no Fatah. I don't know why people aren't on page with this yet. Fatah is over once Hamas, took over Gaza. Whatever remnants of Fatah, pretty much
the Israelis, but they talk. Okay, we are Palestinians, but they're under the table, they are basically friends with the Israelis. Abbas and his pals, but those are the side I'm talking about. So you don't know how will they, how the way or what role they will play following their independence. If they will take over, you don't know. Maybe with some maneuvers, with support from mainly the Gulf states, because the Gulf states, their worst enemy won't even be ISIS.
The people in Palestine themselves don't like Fatah. There is no Fatah. There's the PA. The PA is supposed to have elections. We're supposed to have elections, and once the elections take place, all these guys will be gone.
anyways, we hope that we hope that would happen. We hope the best for.
You guys are not getting it. I don't understand why. And we're in end times, and there are prophecies happening, and people need to wake up. And this Israel is literally prophesied in the Quran, like the beginning of Surah Al-Isra. These people will cause two major corruptions in the world, and the first one is, I believe, is Jesus. There's no doubt about that. And then the second one is this one. If we look at the global level impact, this only is this one. And when you look at the prophecies that we have and the prophecies that they have, it maps out. You can map them out together. And so this is what we're in. And the war, this is going to go much bigger. And it's going to involve the whole region.
I agree with you, Mikhail, about that. There are a lot of indications that, there's something that's going to happen. The Jews themselves, the Zionists themselves, they think about this, the 8th decade curse, and Ehud Barak himself.
All you need to do is look. The thing they don't no one brings up is their eschatology. They believe about a 5th exile. They believe there's supposed to be a 5th exile that takes place at the hands of Edom and Ishmael. So Edom and Ishmael together. Who's Edom? The West. Ishmael, the Arabs, the Muslims. So these prophecies, again, these people are mainly converts. It's not talking about them. It's talking about us as Palestinians mainly. So
yes,
we're being exiled.
They believe
again.
They believe in that. They believe in that.
And I believe in that. So
have you watched that rabbi? He was asked by one of his students. I think he speaks in English. Like he gives his lectures to his students in English, and he was asked about the Ishmaelites. And he said, like they have this prophecy that the Ishmaelites will come back with military force and with spiritual force, because they are strong believers, and they would be the toughest enemy that the Israelites would ever face, because of this faith they have, the spiritual force they have. I can find the video again.
I know the videos. I know what you're talking about.
The video,
I know the
right?
prophecy. I know the eschatology. I put a lot of time into it. And I'm telling you, the world is shaping out exactly that way. It's just, again, with Jews, they alter things. They remove names and put other names, and so they alter things. If you look at these prophecies, and you actually look who it's happening to, it's actually happening to us. And I'm talking about the Levant mainly, the Palestinians. You could include the Syrians as well. So we're a people suffering an exile right now. We have a diaspora. We are internally being displaced. So we are suffering an exile, and this exile is at whose hands? They're at the hands of the West and the Arabs, the Ishmaelites. So we are Israel. So we, Israel, struggle with God. Jihad, that's us. So we're being exiled. And the way they talk about these prophecies is during this time, or as this is going on, there's going to be another conflict between the Ishmaelites and the Edomites. So the West and the Muslim world, or the Arabs mainly, and maybe Turkey, and so the Ishmaelites in general. So there's going to be another conflict, and the West is going to fall, and the Ishmaelites are going to be, hugely, they're going to suffer huge losses, but they'll survive. And that's where it aligns. So after this, which you could say Fath al-Qustantiniya, or the fall of Rome and all that. So this is what this event is. And Malham al-Kubra, and Armageddon. So Armageddon is going to happen soon. Less than 300 years from.
Let's hope we will survive, long enough to witness that. Let's,
You'll survive maybe long enough to see the regional war.
And let's make dua and ask God to make us witness.
This has already been written. It's already set in motion. It's going to happen. Why? Because this world is not about all of us living in peace. God said, "بعضكم عدو لبعض." That's it. One of you an enemy to another. Like God has ordained in this world, there will always be enemies clashing. There will always be clash. Why? Because truth can never live in with falsehood side by side. There's never.
No. I just wanted to mention it to compare because back then we had the same, Mikhail. And my point,
Migrating to France and learning in France, and so everything about you is still heavily dominated by France.
I'm Algerian speaking to you. I speak to you in English. I don't like French. I've never spoken French. I've never spoken French, openly. I don't like. I've never wanted
بس
to
انت ما
visit France.
بتقول حلم الشباب الجزائري يروح على فرنسا ياخذ فيزا يروح على فرنسا يعيش.
That was basically in the 90s. You are speaking about another context, a context of 90s. You are speaking about another context, a context of a war that lasted 10 years. But anyways, it's been like a coup again, another coup against that system that now, but still, things are not perfect, and they've never been perfect. We hope that the country will get better than that because it's a really great country with a lot of natural resources, and yet it's not the best shape that we hope to see in such a country with such potential. So yeah, it's unfortunate, and we hope that no one else, no other country would go through the same. I really wish that from the bottom of my heart, because we can, it's a long discussion about history, basically. What happened? Why that happened? Why that party did that to the army, and why the army did that to that party, and it's a long, very long discussion. Believe me. If you're gonna stick to generalization, about yes, we had this because of that, and you won't get the whole picture.
I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
When you support Hamas, what you support is the fight of Muslims to regain Islam. That's what it is. So the reason you see all these Arabs just watching and standing by, but they're not passive. They're not uninvolved. They're still involved.
They are involved. No, they are involved.
They don't like Hamas. That's what I'm saying.
No one would question the involvement of Arab regimes. No one would.
In a way, they're not against the Arab cause. They're with the Arab cause. Because if it wasn't for Egypt and Jordan, you would see hundreds of thousands of Palestinian refugees right now.
Okay, but look, personally, it's my understanding. I might be wrong. Okay, when I see the position of Egypt and Jordan, okay, I think they didn't want